classes first, so now the rest of your day just goes down.
Yeah.
That's what I feel.
I like doing the reading.
Well, we're gonna do that. So Danny requested that we go over the Hofstadter article sort of together, and I'm happy to do that with you if this class is interested in doing that. And maybe I'll throw out a couple quotes and maybe have you think about it a little bit, right? And I'll go to the page and I'll say, hey, let's read this quote. What do you think that means? And just as a helpful little something. And then we'll finish up that Ellis Island thingy, and then maybe we'll have a little bit of time for you to ask any questions you might have about next week. Blue Book essays next week, all that stuff. Okay. So this is our only slide as far as note taking is for today. Let's start with this one. Right. Who dat? That's Teddy Roosevelt. He's president. And what's that?
Islands.
Yeah, it's the Caribbean. It's Cuba. It's Puerto Rico. It's the Virgin Islands. It's something called Santo Domingo. There's Cuba, Mexico, Venezuela. What's this boat? What are these boats? It is fair for me to ask you this question. What are those boats? What? Can you be more specific? She said the Navy. Can you be more specific? What did Roosevelt do to the Navy?
Made it bigger.
Yeah? What do you call it? What was it called? It was called the Great White Fleet. That is the Great White Fleet. Look at the name of this boat. It's called the USS Debt Collection, which is a rather unusual name for a boat. Okay, so there's something going on. Roosevelt is dragging the Navy, and he's got a big bat here, and he's walking around the Caribbean like he owns the place. And he's got his Navy. Okay, all right. So let's try this one. So now Roosevelt isn't a Boy Scout anymore. He's a cop. Looks like he's from Boston. Once again, he has this big bat. And he's got something in his hand here. It's this. And he look where he's standing. He's standing between. These are Latin Americans. And look how simple and dumb and poor they are. And then over here, who are these people? Europeans. That's right. And who's standing between them? Roosevelt is. Roosevelt is standing between them. Okay? And both of these seem to have Roosevelt, a giant Roosevelt, in sort of an authoritative role, right? And then finally, here's Teddy Roosevelt. Once again, he's in a uniform, this time as a soldier. He's on board a naval vessel, which is white. It's a white naval vessel. And it's a rather large gun pointed right at this fella. And it says Monroe Doctrine on it. And this white guy here, where's he standing? Europe. And this is Republic of Santo Domingo. Anyone know what Santo Domingo is today? Can you tell from the clue, the shape of the island? It's the Dominican Republic. Anyone been there? I've heard it's lovely. Okay. Right. And then the title of this is Roosevelt Corollary. Does anyone want to offer any insight into what the crap is going on here? Go ahead.
He's keeping the Europeans out of, or he's sort of flaunting his Navy. He's keeping the Europeans out, and he's just trying to protect the Latin America as if it was ours.
Okay, yeah, very good. Anyone else? I think what you said is right on. Any other sort of insights? What's a corollary again?
Amendment.
It's an amendment. A corollary is an amendment. We met the Lodge corollary last week. And if you recall, the Lodge corollary says, hey, we're going to extend the Monroe Doctrine not just to European nations to stay out of Latin America, but also Japan. you also need to stay out of Latin American affairs. And then Roosevelt becomes president, and in 1905, he adds something to the Monroe Doctrine. It's called the Roosevelt Corollary. Can you figure it out? I'll just give you some clues. This boat is called the USS Debt Collection. In this one, he has a foot in Latin America. His foot is in Latin America. His other foot is not in Europe. But his foot is in Latin America. Over here, the European seems to be reaching for this guy and who looks poor and sad, and with an envelope that says claims, and he's reaching for the Santo Domingan, and Roosevelt seems to be saying, naughty, naughty. Anyone? It's okay if you can't figure this out. I'm just wondering if you can. So the Roosevelt Corollary was an interesting addition to the Monroe Doctrine. All the Monroe Doctrine says is Europe stay out. That's all it says. The Roosevelt Corollary adds an interesting chapter. It says not only does Europe have to stay out, but the U.S. can step in. So let's say, and this is accurate, Santo Domingo owes a ton of money to Britain. If Britain attempts to collect that money directly from Santo Domingo, and Britain did, what these foreign nations would do is blockade the port, and then any ship trying to go in or go out, the Navy from the European nation would blockade it, and then tax any goods going in and any goods going out, and they'd collect their debt, and then off they go. And the Monroe Doctrine says, nope, no more of that. So what Europe said was, well, how are we going to get our money? These nations owe us money. How are we going to get it? And the U.S. said, no, we'll pay you. We'll pay you what they owe you, and then they owe us. Then these Latin American nations owe us, and we'll be the ones that collect it from the Latin American nations. We'll pay you, now they owe us, and now we'll collect from Latin American nations. We'll send in the Marines. And the Roosevelt Corollary was used. American Marines were sent into all these countries. This is Santo Domingo. This is Cuba. This is Mexico. There's Panama. There's Venezuela. All nations that had a relationship with Europe where the U.S. stepped in and said, we got it. And then we collected it through military means. Can anyone guess how Latin Americans continue to feel about U.S. Marines, American military might? Do they say yay? You got a 50-50 shot here. They either say yay or they don't say yay. They don't say, no, absolutely not. I'm not sure about the statistic, but something like the U.S. has sent in the Marines to collect debts over 150 times. We've invaded Haiti. Haiti's the number one nation. Haiti's been invaded by American military forces more than any other. Way to go. And it's something like 80 times the U.S. Marines have invaded Haiti and for some reason overthrow a government, put in an American-friendly government, and then left. But we've invaded Mexico. We've invaded Venezuela. Obviously, we've invaded Cuba. Santo Domingo, et cetera, with this Roosevelt Corollary. It's a pretty aggressive amendment, isn't it? It's more than Europe stay out. It's we're the bad boy on the block now. And we've got the Navy to enforce our wishes. Any questions here? You'll notice just one other kind of interesting observation. Just something that you might consider using in the third quarter paper as a piece of historical evidence. In none of these cases is statehood on the horizon. In none of these cases are any of these things going to become American territories, and with statehood next. That's not what we're doing here. It's a different kind of empire. Britain takes control of foreign areas in distant lands, and they become colonies. And not that they're going to become part of the British Empire as far as equal to the original British islands, but you are British citizens, right? The 13 colonies, those were British citizens. Well, British subjects, although they called themselves Americans. In no situation here are these people to be considering themselves Americans. You're not Americans. This is not what Britain's doing. It's different. Yeah, different. Okay, any questions? Okay, thank you for setting that up.
Weird question, but I was thinking, when you do like that, you just did something, you just like playing something, and I thought, why in all the like really old movies do all the men sound like they're British? Like all American men.
I don't know.
You know what I mean though? Like, they all talk super proper and sound British.
That's because they used to talk proper back in.
Yeah, but do they talk British?
Do they talk
Do
British?
they have a British accent?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
No. But I do know that in the 1920s, people talked faster and they'd say, I'm going to give you a piece of my left hand, see? And then a piece of my right hand, see? Watch this. Pow, pow, hey. That's why Cartman and Waldog are doing that Boston thingy, see? And forgive me for saying, but Waldog has the worst Boston accent ever. He doesn't even have an accent. Anyone else? Questions? That really was out of left field. That's not where I thought that question was
When
going.
did the last Waldog and Cartman come out?
Well,
Wasn't it like a
there's
while
enough
ago?
material for the next 3 episodes. It's just the production is
Are you in them?
I just might be in them.
I don't know.
I might be in them. Yeah.
Are you a bad guy? You're that guy.
Potter's always the bad guy.
What? That hurts.
No, you're always the bad guy in them. You were never a good guy, were you?
No, he tried
Maybe
to
Carter
love
and Waldog are the bad guys.
Let's retrieve the Hofstadter document, please. Does anyone need a new copy? Because I have plenty. You got it?
Yeah, can I free? Can I have one?
I thought I had plenty. I have 6.
I can go grab mine. Yeah, can we go grab?
Yeah, fine. Go get it. You didn't know. We'll resume class when the big hand's on at 8. So you got 2 minutes to day break. I'll see you in 2 minutes. Go get a drink, go to the bathroom, whatever. Okay, I just got an email from the U with the click that, yep, everyone in your class has registered. Have we all registered for credit? Those of you who intend on getting the 3 more credits, have you registered?
We did it in here, right?
You did it in here, I think, or you faked it and was playing a game. You should, I think all of you did. I just want to make sure before I hit the, yep, looks good button. Okay.
Potter, do they send you like a confirmation email or
Did
anything?
they send you a confirmation or something?
Yeah, do they? I don't know. I didn't
I
get
don't
one.
remember.
I didn't-
Did anybody get any sort of, I have a slight sort of, anybody get a slight confirmation? No?
How do we know?
Yeah, how do you like double check?
You go on my CIS and I'll say registered.
I'll double check.
Yeah. You have that handout, right, that shows you how to register? And by the way, if you slip through somehow, it's okay. It's not like you're not going to get the credit. You'll get the credit. It's just that we have to find you, and then you and I have to sit down and say, okay, we were supposed to register. But it's fine. Not a big deal. What's with people dropping their phones today? It's an expensive piece of technology. That's what I wanted to do. Ah, yes, I remember. I wanted to show you this. I will show you, thank you. I will show you this without telling you why I'm showing you this. And then I'm going to see if anybody in here can figure out why I'm showing you this. This is Schoolhouse Rock. I don't know if any of you have ever watched Schoolhouse Rock. Who said that?
Here's the joke.
Okay. Again, I'm going to show it to you. I'm not going to tell you why. I'll give you a clue. What I'm showing you is relevant for, I'm guessing, about half of you. All right, let's.
Not a necessity with her good intentions. Where would this country be without her invention?
Oh, things were rotten in the land of cotton until Whitney made the cotton gin. Now old times there will soon be forgotten, for it is the work of 100 men.
Not a necessity, where would we be?
Mother Edison worked late each night. It went well until the fading light.
Little Thomas Alva Edison said, I'll grow up to be a great inventor, and I'll make a lamp to help my mommy see. Wowee, what an excellent application of electricity.
He worked hard and pulled a switch. He was smart and very rich.
Not a necessity, help us to see. Now the mother of Samuel Morse always sent the lad out on a horse.
Take a message to Miss Phoebe on the far side of the pike. Send a word about the quilting bee next Saturday night.
Little Samuel started thinking of a way to send a message, though he'd never met a horse he didn't like. Mother necessity.
Elias, can you help me with my sewing?
Mother dear, I'll fulfill your fondest wishes.
Elias, how?
This machine I've made will keep your sewing really flowing. In fact, we'll keep the whole nation in stitches. Ah, mother necessity, where would we be?
Bring me on the Alexander Graham Bell. Thank you, Alexander, for the phone. I never get a date, I never get a job unless I had a telephone.
Mother necessity.
Mobile Wilbur, go outside the spirit, and they'll continue with dustily playing. Take these players, take those blueprints, take that funny looking thing, take that wheel, take that wing. I can't hear a thing that Mrs. Johnson's saying. Mobile Wilbur, a night
Mother necessity, where would we be?
When Robert Fulton made the steamboat go.
When Marconi gave us wireless radio.
When Henry Ford cranked up his $1
When Samuel Slater showed us how factories go.
When all the iron and all the coal and steel and Yankee, don't you know they made this country really grow.
You haven't figured it out yet?
Mother necessity, and where would we be without the inventions of your progeny?
Okay, pause it there. That's the telegraph. Who invented the telegraph? Morse. That's Kanjin. Maybe not that one. He's credited with saving slavery. Not necessarily, yeah. That's the that's, what is that? Is that the airplane?
Yeah.
Well, what is that?
Sewing machine.
Oh, that's a sewing machine. Who invented that?
Elias.
I don't know.
It was Elias something.
Oh, Elias Howe. Yeah, Elias Howe. Did you get the joke? He walks in and his mother's sewing, and he says, "Mother dear, I'll fulfill your fondest wishes." Elias Howe. Elias Howe. All right, sewing machine, telephone, telegraph, steamboat, radio. Why am I showing you this? Yes. Yeah, the Blue Book essay for those of you who are explaining how the U.S. became an economic giant. Technology, right here. Look, these examples of things that were invented here and off it took off. The telegraph, you could argue, is infrastructure, right? Marconi, radio, infrastructure. Here's another example. Radio waves are free. The radio you buy is not free, but the radio waves are free, thanks to the US government creating a radio is free policy. You don't pay for the radio waves, you pay for the radio. You don't pay for the internet, you pay for the computer, and you pay for the train that takes you on the internet. You don't pay for the train tracks, you pay for the train. You don't pay for the bus route, you pay for the bus. You don't pay for the roads, you pay for the car, right? If you use it to transport ideas or you, the thing you're traveling on is probably free, thanks to US government policy. It's the vehicle you're using that you're paying for, right? Okay, I thought that might be helpful. Okay, back to this, house center. So I'm just gonna kind of look at, explain what I found to be some quotes, and then you tell me what you think is going on here. Now I'm gonna put these as low on my nose as possible to show how old I am. Yes, and also this means I'm snooty, and I think I'm smarter than all of you.
Wait, how old are you actually?
That hurts. As we all know, I'm 39.
No, you're not 38. Like you're 42.
Are you up for adoption?
I'm for that.
You think I'm
Is that
42?
insult?
No.
Yeah,
Then how come my wife keeps telling me I act 12?
well, I look like an
Look at page. God, these don't have a page number on it.
Yeah, they do.
They do?
Bottom.
Page. The back of the first page.
It's 148.
Is that what it is?
Or
148.
149.
Let's go with 2. 1, 2. Page 2. First column. The last paragraph. No, sorry. The paragraph that starts central. Highlight that sentence. Circle it. Underline it. Star it. The sentence starting the large paragraph. First word is central. Okay. Now, before I continue here, I just want to remind you, Lefebvre says it's all about economics, nothing else. It's not political. It's not an empire. It's just economic. That's the driving engine. Let's see if Hofstadter agrees with the economic argument. Here's a sentence. Central in the background of the psychic crisis, so there's some crisis going on, and I'll explain what that means, was the Great Depression that broke out in 1893 and was still very acute when the agitation over the war in Cuba began. So a psychic crisis means the U.S. was going through this apparent identity crisis. Who are we? Who are we as a nation? What do we represent? And meanwhile, there's some economic crisis going on, which sort of led to our desire to become suddenly involved in Cuban affairs. Would you argue that Hofstadter agrees the reason we went to war is somewhat tied into with economic argument? Absolutely, right? And so use this quote here and then find evidence of what happened in the Depression of 1893, the economic depression of 1893, okay? The desire was to create markets for American exports. So let's dominate Cuba. Now we can sell to Cuba, Cuban citizens, right? I invite you to, in the second column, that last paragraph, we're not going to go over it, but that last paragraph where it starts to middle-class citizens, there's some evidence in there. There's some historic evidence in there to prove that economics greatly impacted the American decision to go to war. Okay. All right, let's keep going here. So that's page 1. That's 2. This would be 3. Didn't really see anything there. There's page 4. Page 5. Okay, page 6. Well, where are the page numbers? 153. So, okay, page 155. Page 155. That first full paragraph, second column. You with me? When President McKinley took office, he was well aware that nationalist enthusiasm had reached a pitch that made war very likely. A few months earlier, he had told Senator Lodge, that's Lodge of Lodge Corollary Lodge, that's him. He had told Senator Lodge that he might be obliged to go to war as soon as he entered the presidency and had expressed a preference that the Cuban crisis be settled one way or another in the time between his election and inauguration. So nationalist enthusiasm. Does that sound economic to you? No, not really. Nationalist enthusiasm. Nationalism. What is nationalism?
Extreme patriotism.
It's extreme patriotism. Nationalism is what countries who create empires experience. One of the causes of World War I was extreme nationalism, the desire of the Germans and the French to control colonies and make sure that the other country didn't control colonies. Nationalism is beyond patriotism. It is the desire to America the world. Nationalism, in the case of America. German nationalism is the desire to Nazi the world. American nationalism is the desire to make the world America. That's not economic. There's something else going on now. It's the desire to make America great again. I threw that last word in there. It's the desire to make America a playa, right? America's a great nation. We need colonies. That's what great nations do. So I would argue that this is an imperial argument, that the U.S. wanted to become an empire, to be a playa. What do you think of these glasses? You tell me what you think, and then I'll tell you how much I paid for them. What did you say?
Are they dollar store glasses?
Well, how do you know I didn't pay a couple $100 for these?
Cheaters.
Yeah, they were $1. Why did you guess that? I wanted you to say, God, they're really nice. And then I was going to say, I only paid $1. But no, Kryvik over there has to say, oh, you paid $1. Damn it. Okay, let's see what else I got here. There's a couple others I can kind of point out to you. Oh, here's another good one. Oh.
What page?
I'm going to figure that out. 161. 161. So far what we have is Hofstadter saying it was about economic, right? It's to get us out of the Depression in 1893. And it was also based on an imperial desire to make America great. How about the argument that the U.S. needed to do the right thing, an altruistic argument, those poor Cubans. And we're here to do the right thing. Let's see what he has to say about that. So in the second column, before the second paragraph, like 4 lines up from the word William Janier, 4 lines up, there's a sentence that starts, starting a war.
William James.
Oh, James, yeah. What did I say, Janier? Yeah. Starting, damn glasses. You know, I only paid $1 for these. Starting a war for a high-minded and altruistic purpose, and then transmuting it into a war for annexation was unimaginable. So there's this argument there, those poor Cubans. Oh, we should help them. And then, hey, let's take over Cuba. What does Hofstadter say about that argument? Nah. No. There was no thought about making anything that was part of the Spanish-American War a future state. That these people will someday be Americans. No. And we're not here to help you. Now, if in our efforts to help you, if in our efforts to benefit ourselves economically and make us a great nation, you're helped, fine. But it wasn't a driving force. This America is the world's cop, and we are obligated to stop bad things that are going on in other parts of the world. So that's called altruism. The desire to do the right thing. So the U.S. should have gone to war as soon as we found about the Holocaust during World War II. That the U.S. As soon as we find out what's going on in the middle of Africa, the wiping out of the in Central Africa, the Hutu and the Tutsi, we should have sent Marines in and stopped them. And that means we should send soldiers in to stop what was the Spanish were doing to the Cubans. This guy's saying, oh, baloney. That wasn't a driving force at all. Okay, so not political. So far what we have here is Lefebvre saying it's all about economic, and this guy's saying, yeah, economic, but also imperial. We wanted to be an empire. Okay? And then well, what about political? And this guy's saying, nah, we weren't there to do the right thing. Which is sort of depressing. What else we got here? So that's 161. So that goes to 160. Oh, there we go. I understand how this works. I think I got one or two others here. Oh yeah, 164. Maybe the best quote of all. Maybe the best quote. 164. You with me? First full paragraph there. I'm just curious, how many of you had that sentence highlighted, circled prior? Okay. Great sentence. In general, this group of imperialists was inspired by the navalist theories of Mahan. I'm going to pause there. You should know exactly what that sentence means. This group of imperialists. What are imperialists? Huh? Exactly. People who want America to be an empire, right? Was inspired by the navalist theories of Mahan. Navalist theories of Mahan. What the crap is that? What? What? They speak English and what?
What?
What? Say what again? I dare you say what again? I dare you! It's Pulp Fiction. Navalist theories of Mahan. What the crap is that? Who's Mahan? Oh, really? You don't know? You don't remember?
No.
Does anyone remember who Mahan is? Alfred Thayer Mahan wrote a... Oh, you do know?
Yeah, he wrote the book. It was on like why we should make our Navy big.
Was
so
that the
we can
book that
go out
inspired
and
the
like
Bailout fleet?
Yes. Yes. Alfred Thayer Mahan was a U.S. naval admiral who wrote a book called The Influence of Sea Power on History. Roosevelt read it and said, yep, we got to do that, and built a huge American Navy based on this book, that what the U.S. needs to do is acquire overseas lands and then protect those lands, build a Navy, and then use these lands as refueling stations on the way to the market of China. And what Hofstadter's saying is here is that there's these group of people that believed what Mahan was saying. They bought it. They thought it was right on. Guess one person who was in this group of people that bought what Mahan was saying? Roosevelt. Yeah, Teddy Roosevelt. And the thing about Roosevelt was he became president. So his opinion suddenly matters a whole lot. Okay, let's keep going here. In general, this group of imperialists was inspired by the navalist theories of Mahan and by the practical example of what they on occasion called Mother England. In other words, we should do what Mother England did. Make an empire, have colonies, take the raw materials from those colonies, sell back to those colonies. Mercantilism, right? They saw a new phase of imperialism had opened in the Western world at large, and they were fearful that if the United States did not adopt a policy of expansion and preparation for military and naval struggle, it would be left behind. It would fall to other nations, right? If we didn't do it, someone else is gonna. If we don't take over the Philippines, someone else will. Better us than them. Better us than them for us, and better us for them for the Philippines. Better us take it than Germany or Spain takes it back again or something like that. Better us than them. Okay, great quote. So again, it's an argument in favor of empire. Okay, one more, and then we're going to shift gears here. 167, page 167. Second column there, about midway through that long paragraph. Do you see the word Philippines on the extreme left-hand side of that column? The very next word, circle. The business community quickly swung around to an expansionist position. Business began to talk about the Philippines as a possible gateway to the markets of Eastern Asia, the potentialities of which were thought to be very large. Right there, wonderful sentence. Why should we acquire the Philippines?
Oh, I was just judging.
Why should we acquire the Philippines? Yeah. What category is this quote? It's economic. It's an economic argument. We should acquire the Philippines so that we can have markets in Asia. It's an economic argument. So here I am telling you that Hofstadter argues, yep, economic, definitely. And I think there were like 2 or 3 really good Hofstadter quotes that argue economic. But he's also throwing out another thing that Lefebvre really doesn't think is much of an impact, and that is the desire to be a great nation, the desire to be like Mother England, the desire to be a playa, desire to create an empire, right, is another factor. So Hofstadter is yes. If we create a little, actually this might be useful. If we created one called Lefebvre, that's not right. And Hofstadter, that's not right either. Well, goodbye, Sponge Boy. Sorry. And then we created a category called economic and imperial. Lefebvre economic?
Yes.
Yep. Lefebvre imperial? No. Nope. Hofstadter economic?
Yes.
Yes. Hofstadter imperial?
Yes.
Yes. So you are going to, in written evidence, you're going to compare and contrast. You're going to compare and contrast. It looks to me like pretty simple 4-paragraphy thing. Two paragraph documents that you're creating. This was my vision. I don't know what Lindy's seeing, but this was my vision when this was originally created. Here's paragraph. Here's paragraph. Here's paragraph. And here's paragraph. You talk about Lefebvre's view of economics, Lefebvre's view of imperial, Hofstadter's view of economics, and Hofstadter's view of imperial. The only one I'm not sure you have is, did we find a quote from Lefebvre arguing against empire? Because if we didn't, I could walk right over there and find it and help you find that quote. Because it's in there, I know it. Shall I do that?
Yes.
Okay. Lefebvre. Lefebvre, page 96. Lefebvre, page 96.
Me too.
Shutting down for today?
No, I'm actually
Are you on page 96?
I don't have that one.
Okay. This shouldn't take long. I just made myself a little cheat sheet, but which, by the way, I will be distributing to you. I have a little cheat sheet to help you out, but not yet. Because I want you to struggle first. Lefebvre, page 96. Here it is. McKinley and his advisor. Remember, okay, let me back up. This is Lefebvre arguing about the idea of America wants to be a great nation. America wants to be a player. Let's see what Lefebvre has to say about it. Page 96. McKinley and his advisors, McKinley's the president, McKinley and his advisors entertained no ideas of warring for colonial empire in the Caribbean. After the war, Spanish-American War, Cuba would be freed from Spain and then ostensibly returned to the Cubans to govern. The United States would retain a veto power over the more important policy decisions made on the island. McKinley discovered a classic solution in which the United States enjoyed the power over, but supposedly little of the responsibility for, the Cubans. We didn't want to colonize Cuba. We didn't want to take over Cuba. Did we have this little veto power that says we can affect if you're really, really messing up? Yeah, but we were not in the Spanish-American War to take over and create an empire. No. Did you find it? Okay. Wonderful. So, what's due for Lindy?
Nothing today.
Okay, what's next for Lindy? 2 Hofstadter paragraphs Friday.
Oh, he hasn't talked about it yet.
I don't know.
He hasn't talked about
Okay.
it. Well, that's part of what's next.
Did you already do a Lefebvre 2-paragraph thingy?
Yeah.
And did the Lefebvre 2-paragraph thingy explain 2 economic arguments?
Yeah.
Did any of you do it this way? Well, where it was yes to economic and no to imperial. No one did it that way. Okay, that's fine. So for Hofstadter, it seems to me like you should be arguing yes to economic, but also yes to an imperial impulse. That should be your approach. At least that's the way I see it. Do you feel better about the Hofstadter little 2-paragraph mini thingy that you need to write for Lindy? Yes? Okay, good. My goal, I want to just finish up and be done with the Ellis Island one, so we're going to attack that. Next. I warned you people we were going to do a lot today.
Yeah. Because I'm confusing.
Yeah.
No, well, we started reading Hofstadter like while we were in the middle of the paper. Like you told us to start annotating like while we were still working on it.
We will skip the getting together with other people who are numbered just like you, and instead I'll just number you off a page. We'll read it and then we'll go over it together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So actually,
1, 2, 3, 4.
Scratch off the black.
liquid.
Okay, so we got to get to where we were, and that was page. God, there's quite a bit left here. We
did both of those.
We did both of these, so we should be starting
41.
with
42.
this page right here, 42, right?
Yes.
So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8's nothing. Dang it, I gotta start over. I got confused. Here's 1, 2. Let's just make that 1. 1. This ends up being a page, right?
Yeah.
1. Son of a gun. Never mind. 1, 2,
1, 2,
3, 4,
3, 4,
5, 6, 7. This is not 8. 8 is meaningless. Not 8. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Oh my God.
Take 16 1.
16,
17, 18, 19, 20.
17, 18, 19, 20. Oh my God. This is awful. But there's some good stuff in there, and that's why I want to finish it today. Okay?
In the next 10 minutes.
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll start it today, probably finish up sort of tomorrow. What is that?
I read a paragraph to like Popcorn Riley, and then Riley has to leave. It's kind of like you attack, but you don't like.
Okay, we're not going to do that. Okay, here we go. So 20. 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
2, 3, 4, 5. I'm so wrong. It should be 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I have this. Yes.
So,
I like how we're just figuring out what to read. This is 1. 1. 1.
this is 1.
Yeah, I did. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I did different notes.
Yeah.
You separated pages.
Oh, you're that's what page. Okay.
Yeah, this is not it.
Let's get a few pages in.
It's just
Son of a gun.
If we argue about it for 5 more minutes, we won't have time.
Let's get 4 pages done.
Popcorn.
This row does this page.
No, I just want a shorter one.
Just do it.
Oh, Ryan.
okay.
This row, you do this. This row, you're doing this.
Okay. Wait.
God! Never mind. Just hang out for 5 minutes. Give me these back. Yeah, I'm proud of all of you. Good work.
How am I gonna get it over there?